Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, ignore the graphics that you've seen just previously. That was, I believe, from the last round. Anyway, we have exactly 32 drivers today, so no one, I believe, no one was actually kicked out of the top 32. Well, I mean, in the quali stage, and our first driver pairing is going to be, of course, Timur and Joao, because Timur was first and Joao was 32nd, and you can see immediately how much faster Timur is off the line, and especially when the car is at angle and accelerating. Joao is trying his best to catch up, but doesn't manage to do that even by the end of the run. Bit of an unfortunate scenario, but that's still second run, and some potential unpredictability coming into play. But we'll see. Again, Timur was the winner of last round. Of course, very big potential for him in this round as well. Top quali, very close transition into outside zone 2. Even though Joao is not running the best lead run, Timur is still keeping close. And, well, man, taps the wall. So Timur was right in sort of slowing the car down before outside zone 7, being a bit more careful with his inputs. And unanimously, pretty much, well, very predictably, Timur is through into the top 16. Next up, we'll have some of the more, in my opinion, interesting pairings when you have something like 16th place, 17th place. It is very close. And as you can see, Artem Yevdokimov, he does sort of drive with, I believe, more handbrake inputs than left-foot braking, so you can see the car charge onto the door of the leader and then sort of slow down a bit, then repeat, and that sort of indicates handbrake inputs. Anyway, so I can switch things around, and Artem Yevdokimov again was a little bit less successful in quali. So, but they're pretty much equal on points. In terms of qualifications, very beautiful transition by Artem Yevdokimov in the lead. And Turin sort of lost control of the car in the third corner and straightened out. So that would probably give him a 0. And as a result, I think, pretty predictably, Artem Yevdokimov is going through into the top 16. Anatoly Turin, let's try. Better luck next time. Next up, we'll have, I believe, Andrei Popov and Vladimir Zakharov. Yeah. Again, probably the best looking car of the bunch in the lead. And Andrei Popov being a little bit on the inside, but still managing to somewhat keep up. Some troubles coming in outside zone 4. Andrei Popov is doing his best to run, pretty much the perfect lead line. It was pretty much flawless, I have to say. Vladimir Zakharov had a couple of moments coming into outside zone 2. He was maybe a bit too much on the inside. As a result, had to slow the car down because he was catching up to the leader very quickly. Had to slow it down, and that led to Andrei Popov accelerating into outside zone 4, and Vladimir being a little bit on the back foot. So yeah, haven't seen any sort of noticeable pace difference between the cars, so it should be interesting when they switch places. And so far Andrei Popov is avoiding that mistake by Vladimir Zakharov in the chase, but Vladimir is running very little angle in that entire third corner, I have to say. So if we compare lead to lead, chase to chase, Andrei Popov definitely had a better lead run, I'd say. And maybe slightly better chase run as well. So yeah, Andrei Popov coming through to the top 16. Next up we'll have one of the most successful drivers, Daniil Kozlov, not having the success that he had previously, and the 9th place in quali against Ivan Zikeyev, legal band driver, and ignore the graphics on this one, probably. Maybe it's gonna be a Byron. As we see, Daniel is still on the line, waiting, and we don't see Ivan next to him. Some peculiar turn of events. But anyway, I believe we are already up into top 16, where Timur, our top qualifier, is going to be running against Artem Yevdokimov, legal band driver as well, and it's a major contact in the decel zone, so probably going to be the chase driver's fault, considering the fact that well, it's a diesel zone, so the lead driver is allowed to slow down. Of course, it is going to be sorted out. A couple of things, keep in mind how much does the leader slow down. That is a very important thing to look at, because even though it's a slowdown zone, have to be moderate. Anyway, second run with this set of drivers, and Timur is turning on the pressure on Artem Yevdokimov, being quite close in a little bit of a less angle action there, but crucially keeping the proximity pretty much the same throughout the whole run, and that's what wins you battles, and then in turn wins you events. And so yeah, Timur is going into the top 8. Battle either Danilo Kozlov or Andrei Popov. Interestingly, Andrei Popov was only just better in quali than Danilo Kozlov. So we'll see Andrei Popov now leading, coming into outside zone 2, and Danilo is actually a bit of a bit of separation there before the transition. After the transition, Daniil Popov gets hit back and pressures Andrei Popov up until the finish line. Again, that's sort of moment in outside zone 2. That may be just the chase driver's fault for being, well, too far from the leader, or maybe it was the leader's sort of mistake for running less of angle and as a result accelerating away from the chase driver. But anyway, Daniil Kozlov is now leading, Andrei Popov giving chase. Ooh, it's a big dive up into the door of that Subaru Forester. Another dive in outside zone 4. Pressure is on, pretty much touching front wheels at this point, and Andrei Popov, ooh, it's got a big contact there, closer to the finish, but didn't upset the leader, and was quite spectacular to watch, I have to say. And maybe, yeah, it is quite an upset, so Daniil Kozlov is out in top 16, which is interesting. Andrei Popov is going into the top 8 to battle Timur. So they will find out who is the number 1 in this sort of group A1, as we call it. If you know, 32 drivers are divided into 4 groups of 8 drivers, and this first group, any group goes up until top 8, up until top 4. So top 8 stage, and then the winner of that goes into top 4, and that's going to be the end of group A1. Then we move on to group A2. Same story happens there, etc., etc. Group B1 and B2. Anyway, top 8. Timur leading first. Andrei, a bit of a straight wheels action there on transition, diving pretty heavily up onto the door, but playing a bit of a catch-up game again. Manages to make it work at the end of the run, closer to outside zone 9. Yeah, that first part of the track wasn't brilliant by Andrei. Just not having the pace, but still making all the moves that he can possibly make to somehow get back into this fight and continue driving closely to the leader, which he managed to do, to be fair, but just not in that part of the track where the most valuable ping points are. Anyway, Andrei is now leading, and Timur is immediately closer to the door of that E92 than Andrei was to the side of that skyline, and the consistency is pretty immaculate. Timur is very close the whole way round. So I think the decision is gonna be sliding left, and that was correct. So Timur is so far repeating his success of the previous round. He's into the top 4. You can see Andrei doing donuts around that red skyline. And later on we'll have group A2 with, you guessed it, another 8 drivers to see who's going on against Timur in the top 4, which will have closer, of course, to the end of the stage. We'll see you then. Can ignore the graphics, they're not They're not the graphics for this stage. They are the graphics from round 2, where again Timur emerged as a winner.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna
Okay.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just...
Sorry.
Wow.
So now we'll have, of course, the continuation of our tandems with Group A2, and our first driver pairing is going to be Vlad Novikov and Yuri, who was in 29th place. So Vlad Novikov, 91 points in quali. Ooh, it's crashed into the wall for the leader. Big upset. Yuri doesn't need to finish this run, as he's a chase driver, but takes this opportunity to use it as practice. So quite a big upset. We'll see what happened there. But it was quite weird that, of course, that transition to outside zone 2, quite dangerous, but nevertheless, it was weird to see again that one of the top qualifiers in such a weird, driving in such a weird way. And yeah, Yuri is taking the win. Or apparently Vlad didn't actually quit. I thought he did. So anyway, some of the other, actually, yeah, I'll tell you some of the other drivers in this group are Vadim Grishin, Arsenij Vadim, Roman Friedman, one of our top qualifiers as well, Pavel Propoy, Alexander Borisov, and Daniil Kozlov. So, yeah, some interesting battles, especially. Oh no, I was going to say that when the qualifiers are quite close, but we didn't have such cases. Anyway, second part of that run where Vlad Novikov crashed into the wall. And Yuri so far is running pretty nicely. If he can finish that, he'll be the winner, no matter how close Vlad Novikov gets to the side of that S15. And let's see the decision from the judges. So yeah, Yuri is advancing on to the top 16. Big upset, number 2. right after that early exit of Daniil Kozlov from this stage. Now Vadim Grishin and Alexei Nishadim is our next duel in the top 32. So yeah, 13th and 20th place, I believe, in quali. Vadim Grishin as the leader, snappy transition into outside zone 2, right on the outside of the track. Alexei Nishadim, close transition, some wobbling there, but the car too much angle, falls behind, has to eliminate any separation, but sort of fails to do so. Yeah, a couple of little mistakes that lead to a bit of a disadvantage coming into the second run of this heat. But first part of the track was very good, like Alexei was pretty close, Vadim was running a good lead line, and we'll see whether Vadim can be a better chase driver in these circumstances. So transition, oh, there's a crash into the wall. Interesting suspension physics demonstrated there with Alexei Nishadim's car. I think the decision is pretty clear here. So Vadim Grishin is going into the top 16. And next up we'll see Roman Friedman and Pavel Propoy. So Roman Friedman, again, 89 points in quali. Again, very big distance between the cars right off the start, and Pavel having to drive pretty much on straight wheels there at the start of the third corner to catch up to Roman, but yeah, this not looking as a perfect example of chase driving by Pavel. Maybe again, we've seen in previous rounds that some drivers are having issues with the semaphore that is giving a signal to start the run. Some of them either don't see the signal, or they fail to interpret it as a message to actually go and start the run. I've seen that previously, and we might have seen that, well, just now in the last run. Intriguingly, we've only had one run, I believe. Anyway. Yeah, we will have Alexander Borisov and Danil Kozlov as our last tandem in top 32 in this group. Alexander Borisov, of course, having better results in quali, will start as a leader first, and yeah, Danil Kozlov managed to demonstrate in previous rounds that he can be pretty close to high stages, top 8, top 4. So far, though, yeah, a couple of car lengths between the two guys, and yeah, something to work on. So anyway, yeah, Daniil Kozlov, of course, coming into this tandem, is in a bit of a disadvantage as he was, theoretically, because he had less points for the quali. He's theoretically gonna be worse in the lead, and provided that he was a couple of car lengths behind the leader in the chase, it's not really a great picture. But Alexander Borisov makes a mistake on the transition, goes into too big of an angle, and Daniil Kozlov also makes a transition of the same kind, allowing Alexander Borisov to catch up to him in outside zone 7 and give a bit of a push on the door of that Nissan Laurel. I think that's the first tandem that we've seen that doesn't necessarily end in a very predictable manner. Or the first one, not the right expression. It's not the first tandem that can be interpreted in only one way. So previously we've seen some crashes, of course, we've seen separation like of 5 car lengths and so on, and that was it was pretty clear then who was the leader. I think who was the winner. I think this one is the first where it's not so clear. So Daniil Kozlov, okay lead run, I guess. Well, he had some mistakes like that transition into outside zone 4. As a result, big angle, having to correct the car, and that's allowed Alexander Borisov to catch up. And also, Daniil wasn't very close in his chase run, so as a result, Alexander Borisov is going through to the top 16, and we'll have a top 16 stage pretty much right now. The first driver pairing is going to be Yuri versus Vadim Grishin. So Yuri, unexpectedly, sort of, I want to say, coming through and getting the win in his top 32 battle due to, a massive crash from Vlad Novikov. As a result, Yuri is in top 16. It will be the first. He'll be in the first tandem of the top 16, and the other one that we'll have is going to be Roman Friedman and Alexander Borisov. So we'll see who emerges as the winner of this group. First of all, we're going to have pretty much identical S15s, same engine, same everything, apart from the livery, probably. And Vadim Grishin is going to be starting first because he was higher in quality, of course. 13th place versus Yuri's 29th place. So, Yuri is in a bit of a disadvantage, but you never know what's going to happen, especially after the top 32 stage, where, of course, Yuri was in an even bigger disadvantage and managed to get the win. But, sleeps on the start line and quite far away from the leader. And it's a collision with the wall, so getting lost in the smoke. I know that sucks, definitely, for everyone. Be lost in the smoke and to not have the opportunity to see where you're going. Especially when the track looks like, well, the track that we have today, just surrounded with walls, and you really don't want to crash into them. So as a result, Vadim Grishin coming through into the top 16, or top 8, sorry, where he'll be battling either Roman Friedman or Alexander Borisov. So that is going to be our next battle in the top 16. Roman Friedman was very solid in quali, 89 points again. As I said, Alexander Borisov, I believe, something like 85 points. So he was 12th in quali, and Roman Friedman on paper, I mean, in the test stage and previous stage as well, Roman demonstrated that he can be quite an exceptional chase driver. So, no, leading is one thing, but racing is what really separates good drivers from great drivers. I think that's pretty obvious, but still. Anyway, so far Alexander Borisov is in a bit of a rush to get back into this battle. Transition into big angle there in outside zone 2 definitely hurt him quite a bit. Roman Friedman running very beautiful outside the outside line of this track, and proving why he was in 5th place of the quality that took place, a couple of some time ago. I was gonna say a couple of hours ago, but in the case of Roman Friedman, it wasn't that long ago. Anyway, now Alexander Borisov is gonna be leading, and we have seen in I think pretty much all his runs that he does very big angle on transition in Southside Zone 2, so we'll see whether he does that again. Not really, and Roman Friedman, so far at least, is closer to the leader than Alexander was in his turn, and it's a crash into the wall for the leader. So, quite an unfortunate turn of events. Now, Alexander Borisov was looking pretty confident in the lead there, but that wall after outside zone 7 does come at you pretty quickly, especially if you're trying your best to be just as wide as possible. As a result, Roman Friedman is in the top 8, so we'll see Vadim Grishin and Roman Friedman. Of course, Roman Friedman being the leader in this first run of the heat. Vadim Grishin so far keeping sensible proximity, diving on the transition and being very close front wheel to Roman Friedman, who I believe actually dropped a tire, which is expected. But yeah, Vadim Grishin being very close to the leader in the very long set of outside zones, which he needs to be if he wants to win, because of course that's what looks the best, apart from, of course, synchronized close transitions. But now Vadim Grishin, I believe, again, no real sort of pace difference between the cars, so should be interesting. Dive onto the door by Roman Friedman, shallowing up the angle a little bit on transition into outside zone 4. Again, relatively close proximity, pretty much same as Vadim Grishin managed to keep in his chase run. Was So these runs are very close, sort of quite similar, but of course Vadim didn't drop any wheels in his lead run. Maybe just because of that he goes into the top 4, where he will be going against Timur. So we have our first top 4 battle. We know who's going to be driving. And, well, first that concludes our left part of the bracket. In the right part, we'll see groups B1 and B2, with some drivers like Ilnur Simbaev, you know, Ramil Hakimov, so some of the other top qualifiers.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose.
Okay.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just...
Sorry.
So B1 it is. We're starting Group B1 with a strong matchup. Ilnur Simbaev is in the lead and Anatoly Serpaev is off the track, straight wheels. Another occasion of straight wheels, so it is most definitely going to be a 0 for the chase driver. Unfortunately, but yeah, actually maybe that was practice. But anyway, yeah, Ilnur was second in quali with 94 points. So another strong contender for the win in his respective group, of course. But also in the third round overall. So Anatoly Serpaev had difficult qualifying, and so of course he ended up in, what was it? Well, quite a low place. So 31st, just beat Joao in 32nd. But anyway, we have the battle itself unfolding right now. So massive transition into the second outside zone. Anatoly way behind there, still in the fourth outside zone. And Ilnur, of course, isn't as wide as he well could have been. So that sort of is a repetition of his first quali run. That sort of remind me a little bit of that run, especially in terms of the execution of outside zone 9, 8. Well, 8, 9, and also transition into the second outside zone. Anyway, Anatoly is now going to be the leader. It is a bit of a difficult task for Elnur because Anatoly's car is a bit slower now, so he's not very consistent, as we've seen in quali, but so far looking very good, I have to say. And Elnur, as a result, because of the good lead run, and because he's one of the best drivers in this championship, managed to get very close to the leader and gets the win. I have to say, if Anatoly did that lead run as his quali, he would be definitely higher than 31st place. Now to probably a bit of a more interesting matchup. Yuri Merkulov and Yaroslav Banderov very close in quali, 15th and 18th. And Yuri is not getting the second outer zone, which is interesting. Yaroslav having to dial out some angle to catch up the leader. And Yuri finishes his run, with a couple of mistakes, I have to say. Also quite noticeable mistakes. Outside zone 2 wasn't brilliant, and the last outside zone wasn't brilliant either. He sort of finished the run before that outside zone, so it could have been wider, definitely, at the end. Well, and also in the second outside zone, which is the most expensive one, or second to being the most expensive one, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, Yaroslav is now leading, and Yuri Merkulov is closer than Yaroslav was in his chase runs. Bit of contact on the transition, after the transition. But so far, Yuri keeping better proximity than his rival. Yeah, so Yaroslav managed to do a good lead run, but I think he was a bit worse in the chase, maybe. The judges decided to make Yaroslav go through into the top 16, so this is our second top 16 driver. He's going to be going against Ilnur, of course, which is a tall order, I have to say. Anyway, Ramil Hakimov is the next one to start the battle against Nikita Yaparov. Quite a quick Supra, I have to say. Well, especially compared to Nikita's Laurel. Ramil was 7th in quali, and the lead run is good. Nikita didn't manage to catch up, especially in, again, the first part of the track, which is quite crucial, I would say. So it seems like maybe Ramil's car is a bit faster, I'd say. But also, his he was quite precise in the lead. Maybe a couple of small mistakes in the last part of the track, sort of like outside zones 9 and stuff like that. But it's not as major, and we'll see whether Ramil can get closer to that Laura. And there's quite a bit of separation there in the second outside zone. The transition looks good though, and Ramil is catching up a bit, maybe, on the inside of the track though. And interesting pace there, so Ramil wasn't really able in the end to get very close to to the leader, but I think in comparison it was still quite noticeably better than Nikita's chase. And as a result, yeah, Ramil going through into the top 16. I think we still haven't had the last battle of top 32. But it seems like we're through to top 16 anyway. Yeah, Ilnur is leading and Yaroslav Bondarov has a difficult task to catch up to that Soviet S13, which does seem to be quite quick. Yaroslav is managing so far pretty nicely front wheel to the rear quarter panel of that bright yellow S13. Yeah, Ilnur managed to do pretty much the same run as he did in quali, so I wouldn't say any marks off Ilnur's lead. But let's see whether he can be pretty much flawless in the chase. Big dive onto the wall. I think Yaroslav catches the ball on his own, but not sure about that. Bit of a sketchy moment, but they continue on nevertheless, and Ilnur is definitely closer than Yaroslav was in the chase position. Can compare to first run of the heat, definitely more sketchy. And Ilnur going into the top 8. Yeah, it seems like we will have top 8 immediately with Ilnur Simbaev and Ramil Hakimov. So definitely an interesting matchup in terms of cars. And Ilnur is driving away from Ramil with very good angle in that, like an outside zone, sort of his bit of signature move, but Ramil managed to get it back and loses him again in outside zone 9. So yeah, it does seem, again, just as it was in the last round, Ilnur's car is dialed in, very quick, very precise, very controllable and predictable. That's of course what you want from a car. But nevertheless, Ramil couldn't quite match that in his chase, but of course, this track has brought us some major upsets. Quite major so far. Some heavy hitters going out in top 32, top 16, so we'll see. So far, Ramil looking good, transitioning into outside zone 2, but Ilnur is way closer than Ramil was in his chase run. Is applying the pressure throughout the whole third corner up into the finish line. That was definitely sort of like a template for a chase run on this track. And Ilnur's quite comfortably going into the top 4. So Ilnur, it seems like, is the strongest of this group. And, well, he's our third top 4 driver. The last top 4 driver is, of course, going to be decided on based on the results in Group B2, where we'll have drivers like Vladislav Ryzanov, Ivan Andriyeshin, Asamat Maigarin, Kirill Shetin, Igor Motorny. Yeah, Timofey Zhitovsky, Alexander Melnikov, and Nikolai Tarasov. So, on the basis of qualification, Vladislav Ryazanov is sort of the favorite to win this because he was third in quali. But again, Vlad Novikov was also very successful in quali, and he only managed to go well to top 32, where he lost quite badly. Anyone's race. See with B2. Has to be interesting. No real sort of predictions right now, especially based on what I've seen. Again, this bracket is quite wrong, but I've already told you, yeah, who's going to be in B2, and whoever wins that is going to go against Ilnur in the top 4, and then, of course, for either third place or the win of the stage, which is going to be at the very end of our of the round.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose control.
Okay.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just... Sorry. Wow.
And our last tandems sort of group, B2, is underway right now. Azamat is leading Kirill Chetin in the first battle. Kirill jumping right to the inside of the track. Interesting move. And Azamat, I think, over-rotates pretty much. I think Kirill is right there to, well, I'd say put him back on the right trajectory if I can put it this way, but sort of rather predictably crashes into the leader. Anyway, they continued forward, which is a good thing, but that's going to be one of the deciding factors in this heat. Who was in the wrong, and oh, that's of course provided that nothing like this happens in the second run, which of course it can. And Kirill is leading now. Big angle into second, touching outside zone, but comes quite shallow in outside zone 3. No major occurrences so far. Azamat is chasing Kirill quite nicely, and they finish pretty closely. But again, that's a mistake by Azamat in the outside zone. Pretty much cost him the win. And so Kirill is going into the top 16. And now we'll see Igor Matorny versus Timofey Zhivotsky. And it seems like, again, there's quite a bit of pace difference. Igor Matorny is driving away in his S13. Timofey manages to catch up, dials in quite a big angle, and falls behind again. Well, Igor Matorny was 6th in qualifying, so you would expect a good performance from him. Timofey, though, yeah, falling behind quite substantially, like right off the line. That is, yeah, not what you want to see. I believe we will have second run, so probably not. Anyway, Igor Matorny, it seems like, is moving forward. So he's our first driver. Or maybe, let's see, second. In the top 16, so we'll have Alexander Melnikov and Nikolai Tarasov, I believe both E92s against each other now. Big transition from Nikolai Tarasov. Synchronized, same angle. Beautiful, not the best proximity, but also Alexander Melnikov has some bits and bobs here and there where it could be better. Those corrections in outside zone 7 and so on are not the ideal outcome. But anyway, yeah, Nikolai Tarasov was pretty close. Not quite sure why we're having this these battles with only one run in the heat. 2 in a row, I believe we've had so far. And Vladislav Ryazanov is going to be battling Kirill Chichetin for a chance to go into the top 8. Again, Vladislav is one of the top qualifiers, 3rd place. So a lot of chances to go very high in this stage. Kirill making a big dive into the outside zone 4, getting his front wheel close to the front wheel of Vladislav's Silvia, and they finish very closely. Kirill doing a very good job in the chase position, but Vladislav obviously proving why he was third in quali. Very solid lead run. Transitions are on point, like when you would expect them, where you would expect them, and yeah, the angle was quite good as well. So again, driving pretty openly, allowing the chase driver to be close, and that is a big win. Anyway, Kirill is now leading as a big dive from Vladimir Rezanov. Somehow managed to not to crash into the leader. Immediately you can see a lot more aggressive, but I wouldn't say that the aggression turns into any more proximity, if I'm honest. Kirill was pretty much just as close as Vladislav without those crazy dives. That dive into outside zone 2 was one of the biggest dives I think we've seen so far, or maybe even the biggest. Interesting to see. Again, somehow they didn't crash into each other, but Kirill Chichetin managed to get the win. Another, I'd say, an upset, although Kirill was definitely quite, well, no, he wasn't that successful in quali, only 19th place, and somehow managed to take on good stuff. Anyway, Igor Motorny is now leading Alexander Melnikov into this battle. Again, some quite noticeable pace difference. Igor Motorny driving away, Alexander Melnikov only managing to cut some of that difference down by outside zone 9. All the first half of the track was definitely sort of like a one-man battle. They were quite noticeably far away from each other. But yeah, Igor Motorny, of course, that's sort of expected. In the last round, he did quite well. And in this round, yeah, 6th place quali. Anyway, big angle into outside zone 2. Obviously, much better proximity already by Igor Motorny than Alexander Melnikov. Very smooth through the last corner. No big dives, and it does sort of lead to a certain conclusion of who's going to be emerging as a winner out of those two. And the answer is Igor Motorny. Yeah, I was wrong. Sorry about the car. It's, of course, S14, not S13. For some reason, I thought it was an F13. Anyway, so we have, I believe already, our top 8, which is going to be Kirill Chichetin and Igor Motorny. And Igor, of course, is going to be leading. They're going to be battling it for the chance. Get into top 4 and go against Ilnur, who's already waiting for one of them. There, Kirill making a dive into the outside zone 2, and it's an early transition. I don't think it works out quite well for Kirill into outside zone 4. Managing to still keep the proximity, front wheel to back wheel, sort of acceptable. And yeah, Igor obviously very consistent in the lead. No real questions to him. Kirill Chichetin, maybe some questionable transitions. Well, they're only 2 transitions on this track, but yeah, that the first transition into outside zone 2 was good, was done correctly, I say. The second transition was a bit weird, too early, didn't quite work out. Irmatorny very close on the first transition and managed not to get confused on the second one. Transitions at the correct time and keeps the proximity. It's a better, definitely better proximity than Kirill managed in his chase run, so he could probably having a slightly better lead run and definitely better chase run. As a result, he is gonna be our winner of this group B2. Going up against Ilnur in the top 4. It's all order because Ilnur was second place in qualifying and Igor was 6th. So again, on paper, some difference there. But yeah, should be interesting nonetheless. Ilnur is very quick. Igor Matorny is quick. So yeah, the spectacle should be lit. Our full top 4 looks like this. We have Timur in his Skyline versus Vadim Grishin in, I believe he has that's chassis of some sort, S15. And on the right side of the of the bracket, we have Ilnur versus Igor Matorny. So we'll have 3 S chassis and 1 Skyline. Interesting. And so far, I think not necessarily working. That theory of, the top 4 qualifiers are gonna meet in the top 4 of the battles hasn't quite worked out like it did last time.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose.
Okay.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just...
Sorry.
Wow.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose.
Okay.
Hey, I'm falling like deep in this jamming. And I'm whipping.
It's time for what is pretty much the ultimate showdown, our top four. We'll have, of course, the two battles of top four, then we'll have battle for third place, and, well, the finals. There's no other way to put it. And first, we have to find out who's going into the finals, and it's going to be Timur against Vadim Grishin. Vadim Grishin is managed to keep up with Timur so far. Good proximity, slowing the car down with the handbrake there in outside zone 7. Pressuring Timur all the way around the track. That's one of the few people we've seen who can challenge the pace of Timur. In the last round, he was pretty much the quickest of the grid, and Vadim actually managed to keep up. Good proximity in the second outside zone, which is one of the most crucial parts of the track, if not the most crucial. And now it's time to do it once more. Timur, last angle, going into the second outside zone. Vadim accelerating into the fourth outside zone. Timur, a bit of a wobble in the car. Vadim is unfazed, running his lead run. And Timur, I think, right wheels right before the finish line. I'm not sure if it's going to be a 0 or not. But surprisingly, I think Vadim Grishin had more proximity in his chase. So it is an upset. Vadim Grishin is going into the finals, and Timur is going to be battling for third place against either Ilnur or Igor Matorny. And we'll have the battle between those two. Well, right now, of course, Ilnur is the favorite of the two, but never know, like we've seen in the previous battle. Ilnur with his unusual transition in the outside zone 2, but maybe a little angle coming out of it, and Igor Matorny giving some maybe friendly taps on the door there in outside zone 7. Good proximity. You'll note maybe having again that little moment coming out of outside zone 2. Could have been dialing more angle, I believe. Igor Matorny sort of lost proximity there, probably for this exact reason. Way too little angle on the way out. Anyway, now Igor is gonna be the one leading, Ilnur very close on the first transition, and transitioning through straight wheels there for Ilnur. Awkward moment, and correcting the car quite significantly in the third corner. But keeping the proximity and shutting the car down before the finish line again, sort of repeating what Timur did in his run. Interesting turn of events, but Igor Matorny, good lead run. Ilnur, couple of mistakes, and that leads to Igor Matorny going into the finals. So both our top 4 runs didn't necessarily and in a way that would be expected just looking at the numbers. And that's, well, I'd say that's what's good about this sport, especially when it's done in real life. So, battle for third place, it is going to be Timur versus Ilnur. S13 versus R34. Timur, of course, as the winner of quali, is going to be starting first, and Ilnur is very close on the transition, a little bit less angle, but you can see that Timur is probably a little bit faster, especially in these zones where you have to quickly accelerate out of the corner and onto the next one. Ilnur managing the proximity, but again getting lost slightly on transitions. I'd say the only sort of little mistake in his chase run. But again, probably largely comes down to difference in acceleration that would explain it, I would say. Now Ilnur is going to be leading Timur into the second half of the battle for third place. Timur slowly transitioning there into a second outside zone, and very good proximity in the last corner, right up until the finish line. So yeah, interesting matchup. I think Timur was maybe a bit cleaner in the lead and in the chase. Yeah, and as a result, he gets third place. So congratulations to Timur. Third place in this round. It was a win last time, of course. That's a bit of a downgrade, but still being on the podium 2 times in a row. That's consistency. But now it's time for the ultimate battle. The one to decide the winner of this third round of International Simdrift Challenge Community. Here we go. Igor Motorny leading in first. And it's a big transition, slowing the car down. Vadim Grishin nearly colliding with Igor Motorny. Nevertheless, they carry on right on the outside, and I think Igor Motorny dropping a tire there, interestingly, in the last corner, so that mistake is gonna be crucial when it comes to finals, of course. But yeah, Vadim Grishin, very good chase run. That little moment in outside zone 2 was a bit sketchy. It looked like it was just about to come to contact, but it actually didn't. It was kept it civil, which is a good thing because contacts are always complicating things. And now it is going to be Vadim Grishin's turn to lead in Igor Motorny. It's initiation, first transition. Igor Motorny is a little bit further from Vadim Grishin than Vadim was to Igor in his chase run, but it's a very close second transition. Igor Motorny is right on the door. Ooh, a little bit of contact, but they still carry on. And I think, it's a crash right on the finish line. A bit ugly, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the deciding factor. Yeah, Vadim Grishin had definitely a better lead run. And seems like he is going to be our winner. Congratulations to Vadim Grishin. First place in the third round of ISDCC YoungStars. Second place, of course, goes to Igor Motorny. Congratulations to him as well. So our podium looks like this. We'll have well, Vadim Grishin in first place, then Igor Madorny in second. And Timur in third. And of course, well, Ilnur is going to be our fourth place finisher. The last of the rest. So, yeah, Vadim Grishin. Interesting turn of events. He wasn't, as far as I know, wasn't on the podium in either of the previous rounds. And now he's coming on top. Definitely very interesting, unexpected turn, but definitely it is for the better. So Vadim Grishin battled Alexei Shadim in top 32, won that, went on to battle the unexpected winner of top 32, Yuri, managed to win that as well, then went on to battle Roman Friedman. Won that battle as well, that was in top 8, and then moved on to the top 4, where he battled Timur and again unexpectedly won, making him go into the finals, where of course he went against Igor Matorny, which we've seen a couple of minutes ago, got the win, and yeah, came on top. So Igor Matorny battled Timofey in the top 32, then Alexei Melnikov in top 16, Kirill Chichetin in top 8, strong competitor, but again managed to win. Battled Ilnur in the top 4, and I wouldn't say unexpectedly, but a bit unexpectedly, managed to win that as well. Went on to the finals, where he lost to Vadim Grishin, making him finish in second. And for our third place finisher Timur, of course, he won our quali, so he had to battle Huao in top 32, then Artemiev Dekimov in top 16, Andrei Popov in top 8, and then Vadim Grishin in the top 4. After losing that, he went on to battle Elnur Simbaev in battle for third place and managed to emerge as a winner. So that's the story of our top 3 finishers. It was a very strong event. Couple of very unexpected turns. I wouldn't say we've had any major unexpectancies in our unexpected moments in the previous rounds, and now we have had. So out of the top quality that you can see right now, Timur is on the podium, Ilnur is in 4th place, Vladislav Rizanov unexpectedly lost, Vlad Novikov out in top 32, Roman Friedman managed to put a fair battle, Igor Matorny is on the podium, Ramil Hakimov is nowhere near the podium, Andrei Popov pretty much same thing, Danilo Kozlov out in top 16, that was very unexpected, and Alexander Kuskov I think out in top 32 as well. So unexpected is definitely a word to describe this event, but it was definitely a fun watch. So thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone who's supporting us. Check out ISDCC 3D works and livery designs, and also our drift school. You can find all of that in our Discord and our Telegram. Check out drift news for the latest updates on RDS, for instance, which is going in right now. RDS Open Round 1 in Atron, and also you can find out news about all the international drifting going on in there as well. So until next time, keep practicing. We'll keep you posted on when the last round is going to be, because that is subject to change. But yeah, be subscribed to our Telegram and also check out Discord for the latest updates. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna
Okay.
Hey, I'm 4 months deep in this jamming, and I'm whipping it round as a babe and plugging on chase, gonna make the occasion.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just...
Sorry.
Wow.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose control.
Okay.
Hey, I'm 4 months deep in this jamming, and I'm whipping it round as a babe. I'm plugged on chase, gonna make the occasion.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just.
Sorry.
Wow.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose control.
Okay.
Hey, I'm 4 months deep in this jamming, and I'm whipping it round as a babe, and plugging on chains, gonna make the occasion.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just.
Sorry.
Wow.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control. Cry, 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 cry. I don't wanna cry, cry. I wanna lose.
Okay.
Hey, I'm 4 months deep in this jamming, and I'm whipping it round as a babe. I'm plugging on chase, gonna make the occasion.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just...
Sorry.
Wow.
If you have to say goodbye, be careful not to lose. I wanna lose control.
Okay.
Hey, I'm 4 months deep in this jamming, and I'm whipping and running some babe and plotted on chase for to make the occasion.
Wow, it's such a beautiful evening, and it's just.
Sorry.
Wow.